What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, yesterday we had a massive announcement in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and while it's not directly tied to video games, I think there are some pretty serious implications here for one of Insomniac's upcoming projects. We'll go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a new update from Nintendo for their mobile app that has some pretty cool uses for Switch owners. And we're also going to be talking about Intel as they revealed their latest video card price and release date that I think puts them in pretty good competition with Nvidia for that budget market. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with Team Ninja and Ninja Gaiden. Now, VGC did have an interview with producers at Team Ninja talking about things like Wolong, Xbox, and even the potential for a Ninja Gaiden return. Now, when asked about this, VGC specifically mentioned maybe outsourcing a Ninja Gaiden game or even handing it off to a younger team internally, and we can see this from the producers at Team Ninja, where they say, what I want to say is, if we were to theoretically work with another company on a new Ninja Gaiden title, we would need to make sure that it would be a title that the fans would really enjoy and exceed their expectations. It's not just a matter of, hey, let's just go do this. All the pieces would need to fit, and it would need to be the right team, either a younger team internally or another company that would really need to fit the Ninja Gaiden pedigree. They did say to kick off the answer, we're not announcing anything like now. So it's always possible they're kicking around the idea of a new Ninja Gaiden game. And I think Ninja Gaiden, I think it's set up for a good return currently. I mean, sure, we see the Souls games really take off and more of them are popping up, but Ninja Gaiden, it would fit more in line with a Devil May Cry or a Bayonetta, something like that. But I mean, wow, Ninja Gaiden 1, awesome. Ninja Gaiden 2, really good. 3, I didn't like that one as much, but I would be curious to see what maybe a younger team within Team Ninja, or maybe them outsourcing to, I don't know, who would you have come in and do a Ninja Gaiden game? Could Platinum pull it off? I guess it's possible, but either way, I would love to see a new Ninja Gaiden game happen. At least it kind of sounds like Team Ninja has thought about this a bit. Also, we did have a leak seemingly get out there around Far Cry 6, came out last year, and well, take a look at this, posted up on Twitter, and it does say Far Cry 6 Game of the Year Upgrade Pass. This appeared to leak out with this card on the Xbox store with an expansion, a season pass, and the ultimate pack. So I guess we'll have some sort of substantial story downloadable content to go back to for Far Cry 6. I played through Far Cry 6. I'm not really sure who gave it Game of the Year. That's the big question at this point. You know, I would be curious to go back to see what they have for the expansion. The thing with Far Cry 6 is they never wanted you to stop playing it, because even after you beat it, there was still stuff that was being pulled down from their servers to give you some generic quest to hunt down a target and just do that over and over again. But for the most part, it got to the point where it was more mindless, exploring, taking you over different points, and then just moving along to the next thing in your Ubisoft checklist, right? That fatigue did set in, but the gameplay I thought was very good. So again, I need to figure out who gave it Game of the Year. Wasn't me, but it was at least a fun game, one that I would go back to see what they have here for story DLC. Oh, and we have talked about the Analogue Pocket and even taken a look at it here on the channel, but the soft mod hacking scene has really been taking off with this thing as people have been working to develop for it and unlock more features, which does include full Super Nintendo and Nintendo support. This was posted up yesterday from Adam. The NES 0.1.0 for Analogue Pocket now available. It supports 4 players via the dock, saves, most mappers, expansion audio, video settings, and more. Save states will be coming soon, so impressive stuff here. I mean, the Analogue Pocket is just turning into like the go-to for handheld systems right now. I mean, the screen's really nice, the system is solid. My only issue is I'd prefer it to be more the Game Boy Advance like orientation and setup rather than the Game Boy Colors. Hands get pretty close together and got it cramped at times, but I mean, there's no arguing. There's a lot of value there with the Analogue Pocket, as long as you can get a hold of one. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with an update for Nintendo's mobile application, which is something that I've made fun of many times in the past. Not really for its functionality necessarily, but like the voice app implementation. It seems so weird that you have to use your cell phone to do voice chat on your game console. But nonetheless, that's the way Nintendo's gone with it. However, the application itself has been getting many updates to coincide with different game releases, and the latest one for Splatoon 3 is actually a really good idea. You can see this posted up by Oatmeal Dome, where they say version 2.3.0 is out. You can now add Splatoon 3 widgets to your home screen on iOS and Android. Nice little picture here giving an example. Looks like we have like battle logs, stage schedule, current gear, and album. I like the idea of being able to just kind of glance at your phone screen and see what the stage schedule is for the next, what they have there, 6 hours or so. That's a great idea. And that's, to me, what the mobile app should be first and foremost, is a companion app, not necessarily something that has like core functionality tied behind it with voice chat. I also like the idea of having your gear there, and I have seen people mention that through the mobile app, you can get specific gear that you buy through it and those sorts of things. And you can also take a look at your battle log, album, all of those parts. So again, I like the idea of this, and it's something that Nintendo can continue to work on alongside of really what's been a very strong push for online multiplayer. And I think a lot of that is they don't necessarily get the big third-party multiplayer games like Call of Duty, which is a game that holds up a lot of those Xbox Live Gold and PlayStation Plus memberships. So Nintendo has to do it themselves, and they're now charging money for the service, which means they have to continue to produce good online multiplayer games. And you get something like Splatoon 3 that is just exploding up the sales charts. It's been #1 in the UK since it released pretty much, and we've seen the sales in Japan, and I assume the NPD sales are going to be very, very similar to where it's in like the top 3, even without any kind of digital sales being counted. So while I do make fun of the mobile app from time to time, mostly for the voice chat, I also have to give it credit when Nintendo does a legitimately good update for it, and this looks like one of them. So if you haven't really used the mobile app, but you're into Splatoon 3, might be a good time to download it and check out some of these features, like being able to have the schedule for the different stages right there on your home screen. Next up, let's talk about a massive announcement yesterday for the MCU, and that is that Deadpool 3 will have Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine. In fact, we can see this posted up by Ryan Reynolds with an entire, like, Deadpool-esque trailer is what I'll say to announce this, coming down to Hugh Jackman just casually walking past him in the background, walking up some steps and saying, yeah, sure, I'll return for the movie because you have nothing else to pull people in. Absolutely. And it was a fun reveal. It certainly exploded online, trending all over the place. There was also something a bit strange here with the Xbox Twitter account responding to this, saying, see you soon, bub, which of course has people speculating immediately if the Wolverine game is going to Xbox. I don't think so. I mean, I assume this is just the Xbox Twitter account interacting with a very popular tweet and just like getting in there with social media interaction from the media manager there. Nonetheless, we do know that there is a Wolverine game coming up from Insomniac at some point. Spider-Man 2 is supposed to be coming out next year. I say supposed to be because we're still kind of in that phase where we hear a release date or release year, and we just assume that it'll be delayed. I'm thinking we'll get into 2023 and we'll be more back on track than we were previously with game delays and all of this. So let's say Spider-Man 2 out in 2023, maybe around holiday time, August or September. Well, next up would be Wolverine. The movie Deadpool 3 is set to come out in 2024, which means that Insomniac could be next up after the movie comes out with a big Wolverine game that people would be completely excited for after this movie. We're already really hyped for it because some of the Wolverine games we've had were really good, but it doesn't seem like we've had a huge push going all in on a Wolverine game currently, and seeing Insomniac, who's done a great job with Spider-Man, show up and say, yeah, we're gonna go all in with a Wolverine game with Sony. It's exciting stuff. So you pair that with the movie that has people hyped up. This has the formula for being a huge release for Sony and Insomniac, and in fact, could even be bigger than either of the Spider-Man games. Also, I want to point out that the movie is going to be R-rated. That's something some were concerned about with, well, Disney taking over the Deadpool and X-Men franchises after buying 20th Century Fox. It seems like they're still on track with that, which makes me think Insomniac will have a mature rating on that Wolverine game. It only makes sense. wouldn't feel like they went for it if it was like a teen-rated game and it was like them doing either stylized violence with Wolverine or kind of cutting away at times. I think you got to really go all in for this one, and I'm expecting that to happen, and having it alongside of that movie, as I said, really is all adding up to being a big-time release for Insomniac, and one that I think will overshadow Spider-Man when it finally happens. I'm thinking in 2025, we'll see. Next up, let's talk about Intel and their latest video cards that they have announced with pricing and release date. First, let's go to their tweet here, where they say Intel Arc A770 GPUs are entering the market starting October 12th. These will be releasing at the price of $329. They've also talked about things like ray tracing performance being better than what we have with the RTX 3060. And that price point at $329 puts it in direct competition, actually, with that video card from Nvidia. And there have been talks just based on some of the marketing benchmarks they've put out there, which we need independent benchmarks, obviously, but it maybe being halfway between the 3060 and the 3070. In fact, if it can be closer to the 3070 at like that 1440p resolution, I think this will be a big win for Intel, and maybe it'll have Nvidia start to target more of that budget market, at least a little more. I mean, we know they're all about the high-end stuff right now because they've seen people buy video cards for $3,000 during the big crypto boom, and everyone was buying them up for mining and stuff. In that case, Nvidia's like, well, we'll just make it $1,200 and people will still buy it. We'll see how sales go for the 4080 and the 4090 when they release over the next couple of months here. But I like what I'm seeing here from Intel, and I think it's smart, because I just don't believe there's any way that Intel could have shown up right out of the gate and dropped something alongside of the 4080 or the 4090, at least within a reasonable price. And obviously there's still a lack of experience when it comes to Intel and video cards and the brand awareness, so not a bad idea to target that lower end budget market to get more and more people familiar with your video cards and not feel like they're taking an overwhelming chance on your product at like $1,200 or $1,300, instead $330. And I do think more and more people are probably gaming at that 1080p, 1440p range as opposed to 4K, mostly because the monitor choices are just much more available when it comes to 1440p, G-Sync or FreeSync, and high frame rate. But let me know in the comments if you've been following along with Intel entering the video card space, and if you think these cards will be able to compete alongside of the 3060 or even beat them at the $330 price point. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about the Steam Deck, which, by the way, has been getting easier and easier to get. I noticed on their website, it's like a 2 or 3 month wait currently, and it is also dependent on which model you pick. I saw one someone mentioned they ordered, and a month and a half later, it showed up. So I believe we're getting closer to the point where maybe it'll just be in Best Buys or something across the world. That's at least exciting stuff there. But something people have been waiting to hear more about is the dock for the Steam Deck. Yeah, as we now know it mostly as a handheld, and you could buy like a third-party dock, but there's some oddities about that when it comes to resolution and controls, and we're waiting for the official dock that it will be developed specifically for to, I assume, unlock a lot of the features that we would see with something like the Switch, especially when it comes to ease of use and be able to go from handheld to being really a desktop at that point. But we did get some images of the Steam Deck dock, which you can see here. These were posted up from Tokyo Game Show. And we can see on the back here, we have a couple different ports. We have DisplayPort, HDMI, we have USB Type-C in. I assume that's just for power. And then we have a LAN port there, some USB ports on the right. And we did have an interview with IGN and some of the developers at Valve with the Steam Deck, specifically asking about the delays for the dock itself. They say a lot of the same supply chain issues that we ran into with the Steam Deck, the deck is actually in a much better spot now. We're able to produce them at a much faster clip. The dock is being manufactured at a different place. It has different components, and it has its own supply issues and constraints that we've had to deal with. We're overcoming them, and so we are going to hopefully announce something soon, so watch out for that, which it'll be good to finally get the dock out there as well to go alongside with the Steam Deck that, I mean, yeah, it would become a Switch alternative completely, but looking at the dock, it still doesn't look like it has that, I guess the Switch convenience factor of just dropping it in the dock, it looks like one that'll have to be placed a bit more carefully, similar to the Analogue Pocket. Not that that's really an issue, but like the Switch, you can almost drop it into the dock and it'll kind of find its way into where the USB-C port is. But the Steam Deck, it's hard to argue with the value there at $400 and what it's able to achieve, especially when you look around at the handheld PC gaming market. It's very expensive. So having a dock to go alongside of that just adds more value to it. And I'm thinking they're going to try to get it out for the holiday this year, but they're still trying to just catch up on producing the Steam Deck and not have it take a month or two to get to you. So here's hoping we'll go into 2023 and it'll be really same day to get your order in and shipped for a Steam Deck, and then you can also pick up that dock right there. Maybe eventually you can walk into a store and buy it. Wouldn't that be something? And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I asked, have you played any of the Ninja Gaiden games before? 8% said you've played all of them, even back to the original Nintendo. 46% said, yes, I've played at least one, which I think a lot of people now were introduced to Ninja Gaiden when it dropped on the original Xbox. One, it was an awesome game, but two, it was a visual showcase for that console when it released. And then 45% said, no, I've never played a Ninja Gaiden game. This is what I've said. I think a lot of us will see remakes, remasters, and we're like, why are they doing that? But then, like, you'll see half people vote in a poll, they've never played the game before, or the series. So in this case, I feel like Ninja Gaiden's been gone long enough. I know 3 wasn't like that long ago. It kind of feels like it was, but the fact that people have come into gaming with the PS4, the Xbox One, and even the Switch, yeah, I think it'd be great to have a new Ninja Gaiden game come out here and get people reintroduced to the series, maybe fell out of it, or just introduced for the first time. So cross my fingers to hear about some sort of new Ninja Gaiden game in the coming years. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Canic Adventure saying, I'm really hoping that physical copies for games don't completely vanish. I don't know, but I get more enjoyment over having the game in my hands than downloading it digitally. Sure, the convenience of not having to wait for a delivery or having to go out to a store is a luxury for some people, but I absolutely love browsing through the store with all game cases being displayed to me. Yeah, that's still how I prefer to like browse through games. I know you can just go through a digital library or storefront and just kind of like legitimately just scroll through it and pick stuff out, but it is nice to be able to see the box, pick it up, take a look around, and then if you want to know more, you can just look it up on your cell phone while you're there in the store itself. But I think something else to consider here is we're obviously making this transition from physical copies of games to digital, but what's the transition after that? People think we'll just stop at downloading games? I don't think so. I think in 20 years, downloading a game will feel archaic. We'll eventually make the shift from digital games to cloud gaming, right? I mean, that's what we're being conditioned towards. Not having to own the game necessarily physically, and eventually not having to own the game digitally. What a bright future we're heading towards. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Was the big announcement that Hugh Jackman will be returning as Wolverine for Deadpool 3. What kind of effect do you think that could have on Insomniac's Wolverine game whenever that decides to release? And then Nintendo's big update for their mobile application, allowing you to have widgets on your home screen for Splatoon 3. Do you think this is something they will continue to do going forward for other multiplayer games? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.